always a pleasure to join you, and with me here I have the County 001 Diary, stories that we will be following up today, me and my camera person. Of course, number one being the Mombasa International Show 2023, which is set to begin today, or rather to be opened to the public today until the 10th of September. Now, the Mombasa International Show will be happening at the Mkomani Showground, and of course they will be charging fees at the gate. The adults will be charged 300, and to the children they will be charged 250. The theme of this year's International Show will be promoting climate-smart agriculture and trade initiatives for sustainable economic growth. We are joining the world to push for climate change in all the sectors, and of course this is an initiative that the agricultural sector has vowed not to leave behind. Well, let me give you a little bit of history concerning this international show. It began in the 1903. That is when it was established, simply to attract investors and players in the agriculture, trade and tourism sectors, and of course to create platforms for networking and idea sharing. And of course it has been happening over the years, usually held in the months of September and October respectively. Well, of course, who participate in this international show? We have exhibitors, and of course we have people streaming in to come and learn a lot from this particular events. This year's the Mombasa International Show had targeted over 200 exhibitors, and of course they have been able to achieve that. And of course they will be having exhibitors from various sectors, from the agriculture, from the manufacturing, tourism related enterprises. We have fishing industries, banking sector, simply to come and to provide all these exhibitors and those who will be coming to the show with what we call knowledge, to feed them with the financial knowledge and how to manage their finances wherever they need to. And of course we have also the import and the export sector. We have the transport and communication, and guess what, this year we'll also be having the Parliamentary Service Commission who will also be there. The Parliamentary Service Commission is mandated, of course, and it is recognized by the Constitution as an independent commission to undertake with other organizations stroke programs, and of course to be able to promote the ideals of the parliament democracy. We will be going to the attempts and of course hear what they have to say about this particular program. We also had other shows in Kenya, like in April 6th, 2023 this year, we had the Eldoret National Show that happened early this year, and we had another one that happened in Nanyuki, called the Mount Kenya Nanyuki Branch Show, which happened earlier April this year. And that's just one story that we'll be focusing on today. The other one is that we'll be having the Chief Justice Martha Koome to come to launch, or rather to officially open the annual Judges Colloquium, or rather the conference, which will be hosted by the Kenya Judiciary Academy. Now, this conference will be able to bring together judges from all courts in Kenya. They will be meeting here in Mombasa for 3 days, for the next 3 days, beginning today, tomorrow, and of course the day after tomorrow. And what will they be discussing? They will be engaging in what we call dialogues, and of course they will be able to reflect on various topics affecting the judiciary and the key developments in the law, and of course come up with some of the solutions that they intend to use to be able to do away with the challenges that they face, in the judiciary. They have a theme, which is the judiciary's role in realization of the social transformation promise of the 2010 constitutions. Now, this will be looking back to what they call holding and forging ahead. What do I mean by this? Is that they have a blueprint to which they will be highlighting some of the issues and the current strategies that they will be using, forging ahead, and of course going ahead to be able to manage the judiciary and promote the judiciary in the best matter possible. That is what we have today in Mombasa, and of course various issues that will be happening. We will be keeping an eye on them just to bring ourselves up to speed and to our viewers up to speed. Well, that's it for now. From Mombasa County, I take it back to you in studio, Stanley Nyaringita.
Thank you very much, Paul Muniu, aka Abdallah. Always a pleasure. Definitely traveling to Mombasa, well, virtually. And now let's travel back to Nairobi, County 047, just to update you what is going to be happening, the kind of scenes that you'll be seeing in Kenyatta International Convention Center this particular morning. Remember, it is the third day of this particular summit. Today morning, definitely expect to see President William Ruto holding definitely making statements alongside Comoros President Azali Assoumani and also AU Commission Musa Faki. And also run today in Parliament buildings alongside outside the event of this particular summit, the parliamentarians of Pan-Africans, over 500 MPs to meet in the Parliament buildings. This is a whole meeting that will be presided by National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula alongside his Senate counterpart, that is Amason Kingi. We'll definitely be expecting to see how that will be playing along. Or the course rather due, I'll be telling you what else to expect in today's diary. But then listen to this story. The return of cases of people disappearing under mysterious circumstances is causing concern and unease. Initially, there was a 30% reduction in such cases, which was partially attributed to political goodwill. However, recent remarks by the head of state regarding available options for dealing with offenders have created apprehension among civil society organizations who demand that the president retracts his comments. Earlier this week, the world observed the International Day of Enforced Disappearances, the very own Andrin Clemi shedding light on the struggles of families who have lost their loved ones under mysterious circumstances and who still hold on to hope that their dear ones will one day return home. Take a look.
Imagine this. Your loved one leaves home in the morning for work, never to return. That is the story of Judith Awino Otieno, a 32-year-old woman whose husband went missing under mysterious circumstances, only for his remains to be found by the banks of River Yala. Tears, sorrow and loneliness have engulfed Judith Awino as she remembers the morning of the 8th of August 2021, the day her husband left home never to return.
Na hiyo siku ilifaa waende Kisumu na rafiki yake Rico Meno. Na alisema madhe, nataka niende town na huyo Eric, bado amechelewa. Sijui niende ama niwache tu. Dakika kidogo Omena alimpigia simu. Ati Abongo uko wapi? Mimi niko hapa chini, kuja tuende. Akatoka.
If Judith knew that the phone call would lead her husband to his tragic end, she would never have let him leave home.
Kitu kama saa 9 mamake alimjaribu kumpigia simu.
Nilikuwa napiga hiyo simu, dakika kidogo najaribu, haingii. Dakika kidogo na kwa maana simu kama mtu nafungua huko narudisha message na yake hiyo mnyamaza tu.
Darkness fell, and with it, George Otieno's phone remained silent, its owner not returning home or even using another phone to inform his family of his whereabouts. Seconds turned into minutes. Minutes turned into hours, and the day eventually came to an end. George Otieno not in sight.
Dakika kidogo bibi ya Eric alinipigia. Nyaloka. Bongo alirudi nyumbani. Nikasema hapana, Bongo hakurudi. Nikamuuliza na Eric pia hajaonekana.
And that's when his family realized that the situation had taken a turn for the worse. A search for the two adult friends who had left home in search of better livelihoods began.
Nilitembea kwa muchari mama, wacha nikuambie, kuona watu. Ni uchungu kwangu paka saa hii. Ni uchungu.
The hopes the families of George Otieno and Eric Omeno had that their kin would return alive turned from a bundle to a string as days turned into weeks. Then months passed with their loved ones nowhere to be found. Their worst fears were confirmed 6 months later when their remains were found by River Yala.
Ukiti akakuja hapa. Amamwambia mama, mwele ingine nimepata huko kwa msituni huko karibu na Gongo huko River Yala. Na nakaa tu sijui ni mtoto yako. Tuendeni tuone kama naweza kuwa mtoto yako. Akalete akaweka hapo karibu na gari yao. Nauliza mimi mama, hebu angalia huyu kama ni mtoto ya? Hebu angalia hii kama ni mtoto yako. Namwambia hii ni mtoto yangu kweli. Hii sioni kama ni mtoto yangu. Inaweza kuwa mtoto yangu kweli, hii si mtoto yangu. Mimi sakata kabisa hii si mtoto yangu.
What made the bad situation worse is that parts of his body were missing.
Eric hata nywele yake hata moja kuna nakaa tu mabati, mafupa peke yake. Makucha pia na mea kama ya msichana. Naona hapa alikatwa. Hapo ndio madudu ilikuwa natokea mingi. Ulimi yake hakukuwa. Hata hii macho hakukuwa. Na dudu yake alikatwa.
After a DNA analysis, it was confirmed that the bodies recovered from the River Yala were indeed those of George Otieno and Eric Omeno respectively.
Alipatikana mafupa 3 na ilikuwa na nyama kingine kadogo. Juu mafupa ilikuwa tu plain, hakuna nyama. Plain, tena imekauka.
Nilisika yeye kama binadamu, kama mtu mzima, mafupa 3 hiyo. Sanduku ya shilingi 45 na nguo na kila kitu.
2 years later, these families struggle to come to terms with the reality, holding on to the hope that their loved ones will someday return home.
Hata nikilala usiku nalala nikitega masikio nje akuja niite mama Kelly nimerudi fungua mlango.
Bado mimi nafikiri tu mtoto yangu tarudi. Sasa wengine mimi sika mtu mwingine, sijui.
And although this river has hit the headlines for the wrong reasons with tens of bodies retrieved here, residents say that has changed, with reports now indicating that the killings have decreased by 30% and cases of enforced disappearances have decreased by 38% since 2021.
The numbers have declined. We are not seeing 10, 20 bodies being retrieved from the river, but it is not completely off.
Yala was the epicenter of some of the worst human rights abuses in January last year. Over 30 bodies were found floating across the river.
Missing Voices documented 130 cases of police killings and 22 cases of enforced disappearances in 2022. This compared to 2021, where Missing Voices documented 186 cases of police killings and 36 cases of enforced disappearances, this indicating a total drop of 31.5%.
Down with extrajudicial killings, down with police brutality, down.
Earlier this week, as the world marked International Day of Victims of Enforced Disappearances, it emerged that cases of people disappearing under mysterious circumstances reared its ugly head yet again in Kenya. Recent remarks by the head of state regarding available options for dealing with offenders further created apprehension among civil society organizations who say his remarks are call into question the government's commitment to upholding the right to life.
Maneno ya wezi ni ngapi? Wahame Kenya, waende jela, ama waende mbinguni.
We are concerned that those statements on their own constitute a grave threat to the rule of law. They portray a country that is no longer being governed by the rule of law and the Constitution.
Human rights organizations are now calling on the government to retrace its steps and reverse the growing culture of impunity and misuse of state power. Andrine Kilemi, TV 47.
All right, thank you for that, Andrine Kilemi. And now back to the whole conversation that started since Monday, Matters Africa Climate Summit. Remember, this is the third day and the last day. And today, definitely expect just a summary of proposals that even as Africa prepares to go to COP28 in the United Arab Emirates, that for the COP28 that starts on the 30th of November, technically 2 months from now. So today it will be just drafting a summary of proposals. I was taking a look at photos online of President William Ruto holding a blue suit, holding a cup of tea, preparing to go to KICC. Definitely expect to see if he'll be driving the electric vehicle all the way to KICC. But then on your screens right about now, you have live pictures happening there. Just again, preparations probably today, on Monday and yesterday. This particular event started quite earlier to see how and what time this event is definitely going to start. Not a lot of people in attendance just about now. Probably whoever is there in attendance at the moment, just watching the beauty and the scenery that Kenya definitely has. We'll be crossing there in a few, just to give you the sights and sounds of what will be transpiring. This is a first ever Africa Climate Summit. Quite a big deal for Kenya. I'll even discussing matters, kind of impact that it has in matters business, matters even tourism. Even taking a look at the screens in KICC, what Kenya has to offer when it comes to tourism, and even for the African delegates who've actually come to this particular place, over 20,000 actually, 20,000 plus. This is quite a number, a huge number in Kenya, in Nairobi. And as it ends today, what will they be doing during the weekend? Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the entire week. This is exactly what they'll be taking a look at that. Speaking of matters, business and all that. Definitely also interesting to see the kind of, rather hear the kind of sentiments by President William Ruto. Yesterday he was talking about matters debt, saying how do we get Africa to pay 5 times more than the rest, and we are not asking to be favored or treated differently. Speaking on the climate financing, that was yesterday's call, and it was a whole Africa's loud voice and one voice. Nearly 20 African presidents converging here. We wait to see what they'll be talking about today, what they actually want to be achieved when it comes to now the COP28, where the whole world is now. Will they be there with one voice as they are in this particular place? Just to update you again, those are live pictures in KICC as we wait for more delegates to cross over. Probably you can get some live pictures, or rather the sights and sounds as we listen in for just a minute as we continue.
mantochani, nidagum dabarte, gosmigo mantochani, wamigo ndaranki, dambeno nescorsani. Safari tante balane karamoyele, sirada sifte balane tarbeno lale, sirada sifte balane tarbeno lale, lohoya ayo magalo sabia warimoyele. Safari tante balane karamoyele, sirada sifte balane tarbeno lale, sirada sifte balane tarbeno lale, lohoya ayo magalo sabia warimoyele.
Ladies and gentlemen, our event will begin in just 5 minutes' time. Please take your seats.
Right, some sights and sounds there, folk songs, and just giving you that particular feeling. You should probably be in KICC, just following what is happening. The beauty that Kenya definitely has, that is in KICC. But then elsewhere, today, Azimio leader Raila Odinga, who incidentally, we did see him yesterday, being welcomed by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. So today he'll be chairing a National Executive Council meeting for the Orange Democratic Movement Party. And this particular meeting is, to decide the fate of the 8 members of parliament, party renegade members of parliament. Remember earlier this year, 8 MPs from ODM visiting State House to see President William Ruto. Well, they had their own reasons. Just to tell you, a number of this particular MPs from Bondo, Gideon Ochanda, Elisha Odhiambo of Gem, Mark Nyamita of Riri, Karoli Omondi, Shakil Shabir, Felix Odiwuor, alias Jelango, Paul Abuor, John Owino, and Kisumu Senator Tom Ojienda. Some of these 8 MPs who are in State House, well, they will definitely be knowing their fate today. We definitely expect to see more on that. This is a communique that was given by the ODM National Chairman, John Mbadi. But now to a county diary this morning, what we definitely expect to see. And the first one is what we're giving you live pictures of in the Kenya International Convention Center, what is happening. And also the MPs. Speaking of MPs now, other MPs, Pan-African parliamentarians are meeting and are expected to meet at the Parliament buildings, an event that will be presided over by National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula and also the Senate Speaker, that is Amason Kingi. So this particular event just to shape up policies when it comes to matters climate change. They definitely wait to see if they will be discussing other matters here. But speaking of one voice, when it boils down to climate change, it boils down to the kind of policies that are formulated. So we definitely expect to see the kind of problems that even Kenyan parliamentarians air out, what other MPs from other nations will be airing out. And even as actually wait for Josh Onsare, our senior environmentalist reporter, to update us on what to expect today. If you're in areas of Bungoma, Bomet, Nakuru, and Kisii, Kilifi, well, among other counties, you definitely expect to see the KDF recruitment for the KDF cadets. That is what is happening. And also matters KDF, definitely expect matters the Kenya Food event. It is entering its and actually I'm being informed that still on matters the KDF recruitment, just to give you live pictures I'm mentioning here, but then now for live pictures on what is happening on the same, we do cross over to Nakuru County in Naivasha, where our very own Willie Dennis Njiru is. Willie Dennis, a very good morning to you. What is happening in Naivasha? I believe being told the KDF recruitment, it is happening in Nakuru today. This particular process started last month. What should we be expecting this morning?
Thank you, Stanley, for granting me this opportunity to bring you up to speed on what is developing around here. As you can see, it's a hive of activities just behind me. As you have narrated to our viewers that we are having the recruitment drive this sub-county of Nakuru County, that is Naivasha, where we are having clusters and checks and balances to ensure that those who are eligible for the entry to the service actually go through the process. So far, it has kicked on ample kickoff, and everything is it's a good simulation everywhere. Everything is moving as is required. But needless to say much, this is of course a very disciplined force where we have less to say and hear more from them. So you could join us, get closer, and we could just hear your name and position, and then you could bring us up to speed on what so far we should know.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Leshan, the Senior Recruiting Officer here at Naivasha. We have come to recruit potential recruits who will be given an opportunity to join the Kenya Defence Forces. The turnout today has been quite good. Many youth have showed up to take the process, to go through the process. I'm sure they are all seeking for employment. But most importantly, they are Kenyans who are willing to join the KDF and serve this great nation. So far, we are doing well. The recruitment process has begun as was expected. We began at 8, and where the potential recruits and cadets have been given an opportunity to be recruited. The process is going on well. Thank you very much.
Any anomalies like we have experienced in the yesteryears?
We've not had many anomalies. Just to note is there are recruits who have showed up with ID cards that the names on the ID cards do not match the names on their certificates. Which is a big problem. And also many who are above the ages that we are looking for, they have showed up looking for employment, and unfortunately we are not able to take them.
Absolutely. There are so many checks and balance and physical structures that you have to check to in the physical anatomy before you just have anybody for the recruitment. And part of it was the brown teeth, and maybe that ripples to the bones. And we are made to understand that this is not a factor that you are considering. And as such, we will say so because this part of the Rift Valley has so many people with such kind of a situation. And could you just get us to know how is the situation right now? Or it's good news for the people of Naivasha and Nakuru County?
So far, I think it is good news for the people of Naivasha and Nakuru County. We don't look at the brown coloration of teeth as a main issue. What we are concerned is missing teeth. If a recruit has missing teeth or with cavities, that is of a concern to us. Yes.
So and fundamentally, before I ask you the last question on how many we intend to have when we kick off, when they get to the academy, fundamentally we are on the climate conference right now in Nairobi, and you have been part and parcel of the correction of the errors in the environment that we have seen. Maybe in going forward, what intents do you wish to undergo as a service to ensure that we restore, unlike other presidents are discussing in Nairobi?
I think the military has always had this program to plant trees, and we began this program many years ago. And as such, we are always engaged in conserving the environment through the program of tree planting in our bases and the adjacent lands around our bases. We always plant trees. Yes.
So how many by the end of today you're going to pick from Naivasha?
We are going to pick all most qualified and eligible candidates from Naivasha. Thank you.
And nonetheless, how many of them?
All eligible candidates who qualify will be picked.
Okay. So would you allow me to just talk to 1 or 2 people before we just take it back to studio?
No, I think me is enough.
Okay, that is it, Stanley. There you go. This is a disciplined force where it is who speaks on behalf of all the others. Actually, we are having so many of them walking. If my camera person could just pan on the other, you see, those are young ladies there, young girls, trying the opportunities to see how it turns out to be. And as you have heard here from the boss, he says all eligible entries will have a chance to join the forces. Actually, we must laud these forces for their contributions toward so much concerning this country, and they come in front to ensure that our borders are protected. They come in handy to ensure that they restore our forest within the country, alongside so many other things that we have actually seen. And as you've heard, it is anticipated that perhaps we could be having El Nino, and we must have to stretch our hands to them for aid here and there, as maybe we will be overstretched by resources, as we will maybe be hit by the situation come the flash floods as it is expected. That is it from me here in Naivasha. We are going to take it back to you, my colleague Stanley Nyaringita, and perhaps we could be shedding light on a few things that are going to develop from this region. That is it from me. Back to you, my colleague Stanley.
Right, thank you for that, Willie Dennis Njiru. Taking a look at what is happening in the KDF recruitment process, and I believe it actually ends tomorrow. I have our senior education, not education, but environment, mazingira, maswala ya mazingira. Joshua Nsare, habari asubuhi.
Shwari kabisa, sijui ya kwako.
Mine is fantastic.
Lakini nikiona ukisimama hivi mambo shwari.
Mine is fantastic. The KDF recruitment process. Have you ever tried being under the sun, unafanya hayo mazoezi yote?
Nilishiriki mara moja tu na sikutaka kurudia tena.
Ilikuwa ile unaambiwa ufanye press ups 100 au nini?
Kwanza kulikuwa na yale mazoezi ya kukimbia kidogo, alafu sasa unakaguliwa, unaonekana kama una alama yote kwenye mwili wako, wanaangalia meno yako yote hapo, mambo kama hayo. Alafu iwapo kama unajua kukonyeza jicho, wanaangalia vitu vingi sana. Lakini kilichoniondoa katika shughuli hiyo ni kimo changu. Mimi ni mfupi wa kimo. Sikuweza kufika 5.4 zile inches ambazo wanataka mtu ufike. Nami nikasema hewala, kuna mambo mengine ambayo tutayatekeleza. Wale warefu kama wewe basi jaribu wakati mwingine.
I'm taking a look at here the minimum height for men 1.60 meters and that's about 5 foot 3 inches. So tafuta like tunakupima uone kama nafika hapo sawa sawa. But then speak of which, it has been 3 days. This is the 3rd day Africa Climate Summit. It ends today, the first ever Africa Climate Summit. Today you're expecting to hear a summary of proposals for COP28. How prepared are we as a country, taking a look at what has been happening for the past 3 days? Yesterday, the keynote speakers were talking about Africa in one voice, the climate financing, how the richer countries should pay their debts now to the global south, to the poor countries. How prepared are we now? Tutarejie yepi katika mazungumzo ya leo katika yale ya kumalizia tu kwa matarajio ya COP28?
Ndio, Stanley, umezungumzia swala muhimu sana. Tunapozungumzia masuala ya mabadiliko ya tabia nchi, unapata kwamba kuna mengi ambayo yanafaa yaangaziwe. Na ukiangalia katika mataifa ya Afrika, ikizingatiwa kwamba kongamano hili linafanyika hapa jijini Nairobi katika kuleta yale mataifa ya Afrika pamoja, utapata kwamba Afrika inaathirika mwanzo kutokana na athari za mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Na si kwa sababu hawa wa Afrika ndo ambao wana haribu yale mazingira. Mazingira haya yameweza kuharibiwa na mataifa ambayo yaliendelea. Jana katika kongamano hilo katika ukumbi wa KICC, Rais William Ruto alikuwa anasema kwamba tusije tukafa sisi maskini na tusife tukiwa na madeni. Unaona? Na ndo masuala ambayo yalikuwa yanaangaziwa kuonesha kwamba mataifa ya Afrika, Kenya ikiwemo, zinapitia changamoto nyingi sana. Na ndo maana rais alikuwa anasema ule ufadhili ambao unafaa uwepo kuhusiana na uharibifu wa mazingira, basi mataifa ya Afrika yafaidi. Hii leo ndo kilele cha kongamano hilo. Tunatarajia yale ambayo yanakusudiwa kujadiliwa mwezi Novemba wakati wa COP28. Na tunatarajia kuona kwamba swala la masoko ya vipimo vya kaboni, carbon credit markets, liangaziwe kwa kina ili tuweze kujua ni utaratibu upi ambao utafuatwa ili kuhakikisha mataifa ya Afrika yanafaidi. Na si mataifa tu, watu binafsi. Kuna watu ambao wamepanda ekari kadhaa za misitu, wanafaa wafaidi kutokana na hayo masoko ya ama vipimo vya kaboni. Na jambo lingine ambalo tungependa pia tuweze kujua haswa humu nchini, kuna sheria ya mabadiliko ya tabia nchi ya mwaka 2016 ndio imefanyiwa marekebisho juzi katika mabunge yote mawili, na rais akaweza kutia saini ikawa sheria. Tungependa sana hilo swala pia liangaziwe. Hata wabunge wamesema kwamba kuwe na utaratibu wa uuzaji wa vipimo vya kaboni, kwa sababu katika hiyo sheria ukienda tu isome vizuri unapata kwamba haina utaratibu wa kisheria ni vipi biashara hiyo itafanywa. The legal framework haipo. Na ndo masuala ambayo tunatarajia yataangaziwa. Itakuwa mjadala ambao utaendelea ikizingatiwa kwamba hivi sasa tunazungumzia carbon credits. Ndio.
Na wanaotunga sheria hizi watakuwa wanakutana leo kutoka mataifa tofauti barani Afrika, na watakuwa wanazungumzia masuala ya climate leo. How different is it going to be, the impact that some of these talks expected in parliament buildings?
Haya mazungumzo ndio ni muhimu, na ikizingatiwa kwamba jana rais alikuwa anasema unity of purpose. Kule kukuja pamoja kwa mataifa haya kuwe na lengo. Na lengo si la kujigawanya. Lengo letu ni tufaidi kama mataifa ya Afrika kutokana na mapato ambayo yatatokana na masuala ya uhifadhi wa mazingira. Kwa sababu kuna pesa nyingi sana ambazo ziko kwenye masuala ya mazingira. Na hizi pesa haziendi kwa wale ambao wanafaa kufaidi. Wanaitwa madalali. Cartels ni wengi sana. Na natumai siku ya leo labda au viongozi watakaa chini wazungumzie hilo kwa pamoja, wakuje na mapendekezo ni kipi wanataka kifanyike. Na kuwe na sheria ambayo inaoanisha mataifa haya ili wasije ukapata kuna mwenye anavuta upande wake, mwingine anavuta upande wake, wapoteze ule mwelekeo ambao wanafaa kuwa nao pamoja. Ndio.
All right. And speaking of MPs, what else do you expect from the parliament buildings?
Kutoka bunge kuna mengi pia. Uchunguzi wa Worldcoin, ikumbuke kwamba kuna wale Wakenya wetu ambao waliweza kwenda zile data zao za mboni za macho zikapimwa. Jana tulikuwa tunasikia kwamba kuna wale ambao wameanza kuhisi macho yanauma. Unaona? Hayo ndio masuala ambayo tunatarajia. Wale ambao ni washirika wa Worldcoin watakuwa wanafika bunge, na tukitarajia kikao hicho kitaweza kuzaa matunda kwamba tujue ni vipi kampuni hiyo iliweza kuingia humu nchini na shughuli zake zilikuwa zipi, kwa sababu mengi tu tumeyasikia kwamba kitengo fulani cha serikali kinasema hakikuwa kinajua. Sasa tungependa kujua nani kapeana leseni. Shughuli ambazo Worldcoin ilikuwa inatekeleza, nani alizijua? Tungependa sana kujua. Ndio.
All right. I don't know if you're a fan of oranges.
Machungwa ndio.
Machungwa. All right. And today we will be seeing how the bitter oranges can be in ODM.
Lakini hatujasikia yakiwa machungu, labda ndimu.
Tutarajie
labda geuzo ya kuwe ndimu.
Tutarajie iwapo chungwa katika ODM itakuwa chungu au kutaendaje?
Wako na mkutano wa ile kamati ya kitaifa ya masuala ya uchaguzi wa chama hicho. Watakuwa wanatathmini kikubwa uongozi wa chama hicho, masuala kadha wa kadha. Pia wamesema kwamba watakuwa wanazungumzia ile swala la mazungumzo ambayo yanaendelea kati ya upinzani na serikali. Pia tungependa kusikia wanasemaje kuhusiana na swala hilo.
Right.
Ndio.
And this week, even as we're reviewing the papers, one key talking point has been who is going to be replacing the ODM leader, Raila Odinga. Taifa Leo yesterday and the day before have had this. The fact that yesterday they were, clearly stating out the fact that they had the photo of Mother Karua there, but then the fact that Azimio leader Raila Odinga had Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, the Wiper leader, inside these talks. Where does it leave Mother Karua? So some of these things will be airing out in these talks.
Kuna mengi, alafu usisahau kwamba Raila amekuwa kiongozi wa muda mrefu wa ODM hadi zile enzi wakati sasa rais wa sasa William Ruto alikuwa mmoja wa wana CORD. Alikuwa anaitwa Pentagon wakati huo. Ni mambo ambayo tutakuwa tunaangalia tuone nani kachukua nafasi gani ama ni kipi wanazungumzia. Usisahau kwamba katika uongozi wa vyama humu nchini ni siasa. Na siasa ni nyingi sana. Ndio, na kuna mengi ambayo pia tunatarajia kutoka nyanja zingine. Kuna taarifa kwamba chuo cha Mount Kenya, MKU, kinafanya mkataba na taifa la Namibia. Naibu wa rais wa Namibia atakuwa anafika katika chuo hicho, na vile vile kutia saini mkataba kati ya chuo hicho cha MKU na International University of Management kutoka taifa la Namibia. Masuala tu ya elimu, kuboresha elimu, na vile vile kuboresha nafasi za wanafunzi wa humu nchini, na pia katika rubaa za kimataifa. Ikumbukwe kwamba chuo cha MKU ni chuo ambacho kimeweza kusagaa si Afrika Mashariki pekee, hata Afrika ya Kati. Na tunatarajia kuona sasa namna Afrika inavyokuja pamoja, masomo yataenda kuboreshwa zaidi na tuweze kuwa na wanafunzi wakisaidika. Ndio Stanley.
Asante sana Joshua Nsare.
Shukrani.
Kila siku nasema Kiswahili kitukuzwe.
Kabisa.
Kila siku
kitamu.
Na ni kitamu. Kila siku tunapitia magazeti ya Mwananchi na mengine kutoka Tanzania.
Ndiyo.
Kiswahili chao saa zingine kinatutatanisha kidogo, lakini hapa na pale, lakini siku zote tunashukuru.
Alafu usisahau kwamba Kiswahili ni lugha ambayo imeweza kutambulika duniani kama lugha mojawapo ya asilia.
Ukweli. Na
kila tarehe 7 mwezi Julai
tunakumbuka Kiswahili.
Tunakumbuka Kiswahili na tunakisherehekea.
Asante Joshua Nsare.
Shukrani.
Fred Indemuli, sijui unaye pia kuongezea.
Asante sana Stanley Nyaringita na Josh Onsari. Na kama kwa kweli Kiswahili lazima kitukuzwe. Kiswahili tunakienzi, ni lugha yetu na lazima tutaitumia na tuzidi kuiheshimu na kuifahamu. Well, this is where we wrap up this edition of Morning Cafe. It's been a very interesting discussion, and our top story today is on the Africa Climate Summit ending after 3 days, and all roads still lead to the KICC, but we do expect that by this evening this summit will have come to an end. After this, we do expect declarations that will be quoted at the upcoming 78th UN General Assembly in New York, and later on in Dubai for the COP28 summit, still on matters environment. Those are live pictures from the KICC, the Africa Climate Summit 2023, which comes to an end today. We'll be heading there right after this for the day's program. And so this is where we wrap up the edition of Morning Cafe, where we've been discussing mainly matters to do with climate change and Africa's climate action. And well, my name is Fred Ndemuli. Have a lovely morning.
I'm used to Stanley Nyeringita. I've seen the importance of, even the president understands the importance of hot coffee or whatever was happening in his camp this particular morning as he was preparing to head to KICC.
Oh, before he got into that small contraption.
Yeah, it's still a mystery what was in that cup.